You know who that is, right? Like really looking.
My father put me in with the top guys, professional fighters at like 12, 13 years old. You know, and that was something that I really enjoyed the most because it was hard. I would cry, I would run away, I didn't like it. And I would tell him like, you know, this is not for me, I wanna quit. And he would just, nope, no, you could do this. My father would flip it around sometimes and say, okay, you wanna quit, we'll quit. And literally I would stop for maybe a day or two and bug him, be like, hey, I wanna go back in the gym. So I believe we had this connection, obviously, since birth.
Beautiful. 4 straight in the jab. Tap stick.
No, do that they do.
Yeah, come on. Woo! But you gotta load. Yeah, you gotta load the shot. Yeah, load it.
Today, Romero continues sharpening his skills under the guidance of 2 trainers, his father Rolando Sr. and Cromwell Bullet Gordon. His unorthodox style can be traced partly to his late transition into boxing, having left judo behind and taken up his sport at just 17 years old.
What was it like in those early days when you first started out?
Throwing windmill punches, all sorts of just randomly standing there, just, you know, all that stuff, getting hit for no reason.
Quick.
After losing his WBO and Ring Junior welterweight titles to Shakur Stevenson in January, Teofimo Lopez could have stepped away, taken some time off, and quietly rebuilt his career. Instead, he went straight back to work, determined to prove that one setback would derail everything he had built.
That's what we've been waiting for, man. Working on drills, foot drills, hand-eye reaction, everything. You know, my guy, TA, Go Feet Formula, that's what's about to happen right now. I'm about to enter the whole matrix.
So like you know, we already here. Fight week is on, and we at the UFC Facility Center. I've never seen him this great since right after the Olympics when he turned pro. Like very explosive. But now it's a take back, and we're just trying to focus on that and going to the next level, man, and taking over the 140 weight division, and that's what we focus on right now.
Now, I'm gonna show you where I grew up. We lived in that one when I was born. We used to live right here. I moved out of here like 3-4 years ago. But I moved out just because I didn't want to live with my dad anymore, you know? I'm a grown man now, you know? But I mean, I don't have no problem with this area. It's calmed down a lot over the years. It's nowhere near as what it used to be. Like, it's early 2000s, it was really bad. Like, people were shooting each other like every single day here. There's a homeless shelter right here. And there used to be a boxing gym right here too. Golden Gloves Gym, that's where Floyd and all them used to train. Floyd, Trinidad, Mike Tyson was there for a while. My dad, it was like walkable, so I'd go with my dad all the time when I was a kid. My dad used to box. If it wasn't for my dad, I really wouldn't be where I'm at today. Most of the great champions are father-son duos. I mean, not every fighter has that opportunity, you know, and ain't nobody gonna press you harder than your father, especially your father's obsessed with boxing.
But Teofimo Lopez isn't the only fighter entering this matchup with momentum behind him. After securing a major victory over Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero is already back in the gym preparing for another high-profile challenge against Teofimo. There is no long victory lap here.
Oh my God!
My father said, you gotta be an entertainer. He was seeing everybody else, all the other kids. He knew I could beat every kid. However, he just wanted to add a little bit more sauce into me. And what was it? He said, be different, have fun, enjoy yourself, entertain. And I always had that in me. I started boxing at the age of 6, officially. But before that, my father had me fighting and doing Taekwondo at 2 years old. So let's say from 2 all the way to 17, for 15 years, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't believe in myself like my father did. I did not. What my father instilled with me, and it stuck with me, were a lot of things that I could really say that has improved my living. Don't get hit. He always told me that. He's like, you know how to box, you know how to do this, just don't get hit.
Now, the mission is completely different. Teofimo Lopez is moving up to 147 pounds to challenge Rolly Romero for the WBA welterweight title and prove that his previous defeat does not define who he is as a fighter.
He had to say was don't get hit, and I already knew what that meant. And the sparring, man, it was just really bad because I wanted to impress my father the most. When I didn't perform at my best with him, or if I got hit and I didn't like it and I started crying, I would run away. I literally would run away from my father and everybody. They would look for me. This is me at 8 years old running away, my father having to call the cops. And I put my father through a lot of mess, you know, and I would cry all the time. I would embarrass him because I would cry while he was in the corner. I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And that's why I never really liked sparring. It wasn't because of the that I wasn't good enough. I believe it was just the fact that I was so hard on myself.
Inside camp, Teofimo has reportedly placed a major emphasis on the fundamentals, sharpening his jab, increasing his punch output, improving his movement, and preparing to deal with taller opponents and longer reach. This isn't simply another comeback fight. It's an opportunity to rewrite his story immediately. Rolly holds the belt, Teofimo wants it, and the two fighters already know each other well.
Who's that? It's a takeover. I love you, Floyd. Let's go. Thank you, man. That was great.
What makes this matchup even more intriguing is that Teofimo Lopez is moving up in weight following his defeat to Shakur Stevenson, turning the fight into an entirely new test. He has spoken about returning to a more disciplined style of boxing, but that explosive version of Teofimo is still waiting underneath it all. On August 22nd, all the work in training camp will finally be put to the test. No excuses, no hiding, and no rebuilding tour. Just Teofimo Lopez stepping back into the spotlight against Rolly Romero with another world title opportunity sitting directly in front of him. Rolly Romero's training camp may be focused on Teofimo Lopez, but clearly, he still has plenty of energy left for everyone else as well. Coming off the biggest victory of his career against Ryan Garcia, Rolly was asked about Ryan's interest in facing the winner of this fight, and his response was immediate. He questioned why Garcia was even being brought into the conversation, arguing that Ryan has called out plenty of fighters in the past without actually making those matchups happen. For Rolly, the focus remains on what's directly in front of him, rather than entertaining another potential opponent before this fight is even finished.
Bro, why are we even bringing this into conversation? Didn't he dug me twice? He dug me after our direct rematch clause, and he dug me after he fought Barrios. You're gonna tell me that this dude wants to fight? Right, he's just trying to chase whatever clout he can get right now. Same way he calls out everybody in the world and doesn't fight anybody. Don't bring up Ryan Garcia. He's a clout chasing fool.
Then Devin Haney's name came up, but Rolly had no interest in reopening that chapter either. He claimed an offer had already been made and insisted that the fight was no longer worth his time. Classic Rolly. But underneath all the trash talk, there was something more interesting about how he views Teofimo. When asked whether moving up to 147 pounds could give Teofimo additional power, Rolly didn't completely dismiss the possibility. He simply acknowledged that it could happen. That's a confident response without revealing too much about his thinking. He also brushed aside questions about Teofimo's age and accumulated wear, essentially pointing out that every fighter gets older and naturally gains experience through years spent in the sport.
A fight that's still on the radar for you, a unification fight down the road?
No, we sent him an offer, a great lucrative offer. He decided not to take the fight because Devin Haney Promotions isn't a real promotion company. As we see, he can't bid in his own purse bids because he's not a real promotion company. On top of that, they're always fighting for a going out of business sale. But regardless of everything, me and Devin are never going to fight because he is scared of it.
Then the interview took a completely different turn when Rolly returned to his former elementary school and spoke to a large group of children. Suddenly, the loud and confident personality disappeared for a moment, revealing a much more grateful side of him. He talked about feeling fortunate while growing up, appreciating his parents, and learning to value even the smallest gesture from another person. That's what makes Rolly Romero such an interesting character. One moment he's dismissing fighters like Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, and the next he's thanking his supporters and giving back to the younger generation. But once the cameras are gone and training camp resumes, that softer side seems to disappear, and the fighter takes over again.
My parents made sure I never missed a meal. You know, but still, regardless, helping out anyone, you know. Like, bro, trust me, I'm grateful for anything, bro. Somebody gives me anything right now, I'm the happiest person ever, whether it's has no value or anything, you know. I value because the thing is, gifts, they have energy in it anyways, you know. They just, somebody going out of the way to give you something, it's a different kind of love, you know.
Rolly Romero has been making plenty of noise ahead of this fight, but Teofimo Lopez entered the conversation with something far more interesting: perspective. After what happened against Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo could have taken the easier path, stepped away for a while, and quietly worked on rebuilding his career. Instead, he chose another dangerous opponent. That decision says a lot about how he views the next stage of his career. When Teofimo discussed being outclassed in his previous fight, he didn't try to hide from what happened. He acknowledged that there were things he needed to reflect on and learn from. But rather than treating the defeat as the end of his story, he began looking at the bigger picture. And this is where the interview becomes especially interesting. Teofimo is now talking about taking control of his own career, protecting his future, building his promotional business, and making decisions that extend far beyond his next paycheck. He's thinking about the long-term picture, not simply the next fight.
A lot of things to it, actually. It's not just coming back with a big fight and stuff like that. You know, when you get outclassed like my previous fight, then there's things that you gotta really think about. But I think about the business perspective of it. I need to also protect my assets. And what does that mean? You gotta start now launching something different. Take over promotions with the zone. And then we could do anything and everything with the lead promoters that come into play, right? But at least I get the rights to all my things.
I actually respect that, because fighters don't get unlimited time at the top, and Teofimo clearly understands that his prime years need to mean something. Then the interviewer went through his resume and suddenly reminded of just how many elite names Teofimo has willingly shared the ring with. Lomachenko, Josh Taylor, Shakur Stevenson, and now Rolly Romero. One loss doesn't erase a resume like that. Teofimo even explained that his mentality comes down to vision, and that's probably the biggest theme surrounding this comeback. He's not simply trying to bounce back from the Shakur defeat. He's trying to build something bigger than one result. Meanwhile, Rolly is waiting to find out whether that new mindset can actually translate once the pressure begins. Because talking about having vision is easy. Having the discipline to execute that vision when a dangerous opponent is standing across from you is something completely different, and that's where Teofimo's real comeback begins.
I think sometimes after losses, people forget who you are. Rolly in the scrum over there, he was talking about how great you are. He thinks you're already a Hall of Famer. I believe he was rattling off. At one point, you would have been undisputed if not for a technicality of, I forget who he said, elevating for a higher belt. You have accolades, and you have done some things that other people have not done in this game. Just, what do you think about him giving you those kind of praises?
I think that his PR team is doing a phenomenal job. That's what I think. I think that he listens very well to his team and how to build up this fight. I think the whole purpose of that really is so that, you know, when they believe that he beat me, they fought the best guy that it possibly was ever in boxing.
That conversation about Teofimo rebuilding his career sets up the Rolly matchup perfectly, because Sean Porter is looking at this fight from a completely different angle. It's not about who talks louder, but about which fighter has actually evolved. Porter says both men are essentially relearning themselves, and I think that's the key point here. Rolly's performance against Ryan Garcia showed a level of patience we simply weren't used to seeing from him. He didn't rush forward, chase every opening, or abandon his strategy. Instead, he stayed disciplined and committed to the game plan. Now, Porter expects that same version of Rolly to show up again, but then comes the big Teofimo question. Porter believes Lopez could finally start building his offense instead of relying so heavily on the explosive counterpunching we've seen throughout his career. And that's a scary thought for Rolly, because if Teofimo stops waiting for the perfect moment and starts controlling the pace himself, we're suddenly looking at a completely different fighter.
Both of them, like we saw with Rolly with Ryan. Rolly came to the ring with a game plan, and he stayed disciplined.
Yes.
The entire fight. You know what I mean? And that was something that we respectfully hadn't truly seen from Rolly until that night, to the point that all of us is like confused, you know? And I think the same thing goes for Teo. I think Teo is at a point in his career where he's going to come to the ring and be disciplined. They're both going to come to, I guarantee you, they're both going to come to the ring and do things that we don't expect either of them to do.
Sean also highlights the biggest tactical problem in this matchup. Patient opponents have caused Teofimo problems before, and Rolly doesn't necessarily have to give him the openings he loves to exploit. If Rolly stays patient, makes Teofimo lead, and then fires that heavy counter, we could see entire rounds where very little happens until one explosive moment suddenly changes the fight. That's exactly why I love this matchup. It might not be non-stop action from the opening bell, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. Sean is essentially describing a chess match where both fighters have a button they can press at any moment that could completely change the fight. Then you add Teofimo moving up to 147 pounds, potentially feeling stronger at the new weight, while Rolly appears naturally comfortable in the division, and suddenly the prediction becomes much harder to make. I wouldn't call this a guaranteed classic, but I do believe it's the kind of fight where one mistake could instantly erase all the patience and turn the entire night upside down.
You've struggled with patient fighters in the past because you were taught to be that explosive counterpuncher that can be first when you want to be first. But your rhythm is more of a counterpunching rhythm. And so when guys come in the ring and they in the middle of the ring waiting on him, now it becomes this waiting game because I have been trained to have this be first and then the techniques on what I do after I'm first. So that's the biggest adjustment that Teofimo, in my opinion, is going to have to make. To me, now he's in a position where he can make that adjustment. The question is he going to be trained to do that, or is he going to be trained to do everything that he's...
And after all the talk, the training camps, the setbacks, the big wins, and all the predictions, we finally reach the point where none of the narratives matter anymore. Teofimo Lopez is moving up to 147 pounds, looking to prove that the loss to Shakur Stevenson was only a chapter in his career, not the ending. Meanwhile, Rolly Romero is coming off the biggest victory of his career and wants to show that his performance against Ryan Garcia was just the beginning of something much bigger. Sean Porter sees two fighters who have continued to evolve, and that's exactly why this matchup is so difficult to predict. Rolly's become more patient, Teofimo is working to become more disciplined, and both men possess enough power to turn a quiet round into complete chaos in an instant. So now I want to hear from you. Does Teofimo's skill and experience finally give him the edge at 147 pounds, or has Rolly's patience and confidence created the perfect style to frustrate him? Can Rolly reproduce the discipline we saw against Ryan, or will Teofimo rediscover the version of himself that made him a world champion? That's the debate, and I already know the comments are going to be divided on this one. Drop your prediction in the comments section and tell me how you see Teofimo Lopez versus Rolly Romero playing out. And don't ever forget to like, share, and subscribe for more boxing breakdowns and fight coverage. I'll see you in the next one.